Now, interestingly, we will be discussing one issue associated with one point which most of the people discuss, that is, what is soul, or you say something about soul. I had some query associated with that. Let me know what is a soul, or we would like to know what is a soul. Now, first of all, I'd like to very clear in the beginning itself that don't believe anything. It's not a belief. In engineering and scientific spirituality, there is nothing like a belief. When you speak about the advanced spirituality, there is nothing like a faith or belief. You have to investigate, think, and work in a technical manner, and you will get the objectives. There are different aspects of spirituality that we will be discussing later on, which are a classical advanced spirituality, where there is this was earlier much more influenced by the superstitions and associated things, which were something like a magic or something associated, which people could not see that. But as far as the aspect of the soul is concerned, now again I am repeating once again, please don't believe anything. This is one speculation, like we are thinking like this in this manner. Basically this is one approach which is used to investigate whether that soul is there, what exists or not, or something like this. Now we'll take just the help of the Hinduism, where it is said that the soul enters into the body on the 6th day of the kid after the birth, and later on it gets released at the time of the death. Now the things are how we can perceive. There are various approaches we can use over here now. It's not the miracle consequence, or you can say it's not a coincidence that different religions and different continent people have got a similar concept associated with soul, their existence. Now what is happening is we have to look at that. If there is a similarity, means there is a possibility of something like that existing. Now let us come down. Let's define something like this. Now that soul, any soul is there which enters into the body. Now he remembers, that soul remembers something of his life, which because he has been in the life earlier, and the child remembers that particular thing for some period of time, and later on he forgets that. Now this particular thing is also one of the things that something associated with the previous life, means something has transferred from one body to another, and it has entered into the new body with the memories of the previous impressions on certain program, we will say software program, and that program is being installed into the body. Now this has resulted into that memories which are carried away from the previous experience. Right. Now second thing which will say, the second birth, which we see, people have said that the past life experience and all these things. So now what is happening? Why it is happening so? Because the soul, again, this strengthens this aspect that the soul has from that place has entered into this, and he remembers that particular thing which has happened in the past, and then he refers to the same thing. Now again, the people say that this is not a, this is a miracle, and a scientist cannot investigate all these things. This is perfectly right, because scientific approaches and the instrument and the tools fail to analyze this particular aspect. However, we can prove them. This is the important thing which we have to understand, that we can prove by certain proofs of incidences, but the science and technology fails to understand or evaluate the aspect from the technical point of view, whether it exists or not. Now another aspect of that is, whenever we have certain span of the life, that is a biological span of the life, and anybody dies earlier, that particular person has left the body at a particular spot. Now that spot, you will see that we call it as haunted. Because why? This is again a third fact which is saying that the body is actually removed from that particular, and the soul becomes so vacant, and that soul is existing and lingering into that area. Now we can say that that exists up to the particular time of the natural death where it is existing. Now up to that time that will exist, and later on it will go off and that will vanish into that. Now still it is to be investigated what happens to the soul later on. But one of the interesting thing I'd like to mention over here, that what happens to the soul is, especially in case of the spiritual people, those who are advanced people, we call it as holy people, saints. What do they do is, actually they feel that okay, there is nothing in the life, and I just don't want to get into the cycle of the continuous life and later on. Now what happens is, they get into certain practices and rituals of psycho-spiritual practices, and that result into no future birth, and no again the pains which will be experienced by that particular body. This particular is liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Now this is one of the concept, but here it says that there is something of life, birth, and the journey, that is the soul which is existing over there. That means the soul exists, but we fail to analyze or to define or measure that particular dimension of the soul using the contemporary technologies, but we perceive from that particular point of view. So this is one of the important aspects that we can see, that the soul is an entity. Now we take analogy. Suppose you have got a mobile, you have got a SIM card, and now this particular SIM card in the mobile, you have not activated that. Now you will see that the mobile is active, it is functioning and giving the local functions, showing all the applications and performing the applications without connectivity. What can be, suppose it's a calculator. Now once you activate this, what happens is, once you activate this gets connected into the internet, and then you can finally get the things done, executed by this particular mobile, and you can make the calls and all these things. So in the similar analogy, you have got the soul that is in your body, and then soul that contacts with various aspects, and that gives you certain effects of that. So ultimately what is happening is, the soul is conclusion. I'm not saying it is technically true. Technically we cannot, scientifically we cannot, but the experiences see that there must be something, soul, which will be existing or which is existing, and there are certain souls which are transferred from one body to another, and this particular transfer of one body to another, and if it remembers very clearly, we can call it as a rebirth or a reincarnation. So that's the thing. That means that thing is existing, and the dimensions, the weight, the how it can be measured, that particular thing is yet to be done. Unfortunately, nobody is scientifically and technically and spiritually working on this in the unbiased manner on this particular issue. Therefore, we are not getting good results nowadays, because what happens is, you need to look at this particular aspect in a scientific point of view and in an investigative point of view. Unfortunately, most of the people in this particular area are more spiritual people, like Babas and all these things, and they sometimes bluff and they say something they feel. They do not stick to that, and they have got more objective of making the followers and exploiting. I am not blaming, but in general it happens. So there may be good people also, bad people also, those who are guiding. But the fact is that what is happening is, the real scientific approach, the matter. My focus is the real scientific approach to analyze what is the soul, what happens, what are the properties of the soul, what does it happen, how does it get transferred, after that where does it go, where are the number of souls stored. This is also one of the important things. So these questions are required to be answered, but this can be answered after a deep investigative approach in the purely scientific and technical manner. At the moment it doesn't seem to be, because there are no people, those who are specifically working in this area. This has been an attempt to work in this particular direction. I hope you got a good message out of this. Please like, share if you like these kind of videos, comment if you are interested in some kind of other videos also. We will be soon discussing about these issues. Thank you.